The year is 2074. They call our city Ethelberg, the shining beacon of the technocratic dream. Here, there is no crime, no poverty, no disease. The algorithms see all, know all, and decide all. From the nutrient paste we consume to the partners we are assigned, every aspect of life is optimized for maximum efficiency and collective happiness. I am designated Citizen 734, and my function is data archivist. A quiet, necessary role. My life, like everyone else's, is a monument to stability, and yet there is a silence. A profound, unsettling quiet that hangs in the sterile air between the gleaming towers. It's a silence not of peace, but of absence. I remember my grandfather. He was a relic, a man who spoke of a time before the Great Restructuring. He used to tell me stories of chaos, of passion, of people making terrible, glorious mistakes. He'd talk about art that was messy and discordant, music that made you weep without reason, love that was illogical and all-consuming. The elders of the Technocracy dismissed his memories as the romanticized ramblings of a generation that nearly destroyed the world. They were right, of course. Logic dictates they were, but his words planted a seed of, what? Curiosity? Dissent? A yearning for something I could not name? My work involves curating historical data, filtering out what the central AI deems societally non-beneficial information. Mostly, it's digital detritus, forgotten social media, rambling blogs, the chaotic noise of the pre-technocratic age. It's a dull job meant for a mind that does not ask questions. But one day, while performing a routine data purge, I found a corrupted file cluster. It was old, pre-restructuring, and should have been deleted decades ago. The system flagged it for immediate erasure, but for the first time in my life, I disobeyed a directive. My finger hovered over the delete command, but I diverted the files to a hidden partition instead. A small act of rebellion, pointless and illogical. A shiver of something fear, excitement, ran down my spine. That night, sleep eluded me. The perfect climate-controlled air in my living unit felt suffocating. I kept seeing the file name in my mind. Project Nightingale. What was it? Why was it so deeply buried? The next day, I called in sick, an almost unheard of act. The system automatically prescribed a wellness check and a mild sedative, but I ignored it. I had to know. I spent hours bypassing security protocols I wasn't supposed to know, using backdoors my grandfather, a former coder, had told me about in hushed tones. They were digital ghost stories, meant to spook a child, but they were real. And finally I broke through. The files opened. It wasn't data sheets or technical manuals. It was video. Grainy, low-resolution footage from the early days of the Technocracy's rise. The first file showed a group of people in a room, arguing. They weren't calm and measured like we are. They were shouting, gesturing wildly. They were scientists, sociologists, engineers, the architects of our world. They were debating the final problem, human irrationality. The unpredictable, chaotic variable that always led to conflict. How could you build a perfect system with imperfect parts? Then, the lead scientist, a woman with tired, determined eyes, presented the solution. Project Nightingale. It wasn't a piece of software or a social policy. It was a bioagent. A meticulously engineered retrovirus designed to be released into the global water supply. Its purpose was simple and terrifying. It targeted the neural pathways associated with intense, unproductive emotions. Not all emotion, of course. Contentment was amplified. Mild joy was permitted. But the extremes, passionate love, gut-wrenching grief, furious anger, soaring artistic inspiration, all of it was to be pruned from the human experience. The virus would gently, permanently edit the human soul. I felt a cold dread creep into my bones. The footage continued. It showed public squares, people laughing, crying, protesting. Then, after a designated date, the footage changed. The crowds were still there, but they were calmer. The protests faded. The public displays of affection became more muted, more appropriate. The vibrant, chaotic tapestry of human life was being systematically bleached into a uniform shade of gray. There was no violence, no struggle. People just forgot how to feel so deeply. They forgot the fire. I stumbled back from my terminal, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I looked out my window at the city of Ethelberg. The perfectly spaced trees, the silent, gliding transport pods, the citizens walking with serene, placid expressions. It was a utopia. A perfect, beautiful, functioning machine. But it was a machine populated by ghosts. We hadn't solved the problem of human suffering. We had amputated the part of us that was capable of it. And in doing so, we had amputated the part of us that made life worth living. The part that made my grandfather's stories resonate. The silence I always felt wasn't an absence of noise. It was the absence of the human spirit. The cost of our perfect world wasn't freedom in the political sense. We had willingly traded that. The cost was our own hearts. We had traded the soaring highs and devastating lows of a real existence for a flat line of manufactured contentment. We were safe, we were stable, and we were empty. Suddenly, an alert flashed on my screen. Unauthorized access detected. Citizen 734. Remain in your unit. Compliance officers have been dispatched. They knew. The algorithm had seen my transgression. My heart hammered in my chest. A wild, frantic rhythm I hadn't felt since I was a small child who had fallen and scraped his knee. It was fear. Real, unadulterated fear. And mixed with it, something else. A strange, defiant spark. For the first time, I felt truly alive. I looked at the data on my screen. Project Nightingale. The truth. I knew what I had to do. The compliance officers would be here in minutes. It was illogical. It was inefficient. It was an act of pure, irrational human defiance. I began broadcasting the files to every public terminal, every private device, every screen in the gleaming silent city. I sent them the truth of our perfect cage. I don't know if they will understand it. I don't know if they can even feel what I am feeling. The capacity for that kind of revelation may have been edited out of them. But my grandfather told me that even the smallest spark can start a fire in the dark. I can hear the hum of the officer's transport pod outside my door. My time is up. But as they prepare to restore order, as they come to silence the anomaly that is Citizen 734, I am not afraid. I am filled with a glorious, terrible, beautiful sadness for all that we have lost. And for the first time in my life, I understand the meaning of the word hope. Maybe, just maybe, they'll remember what it feels like to be human. Thank you for watching. If this story made you think, consider liking and subscribing for more journeys into the worlds of tomorrow. M.E.K posts every day, Monday through Friday, so stay tuned for more. Stay safe and stay curious.